In the summer of 1976, an invisible fear gripped the city. A predator was watching from the shadows. On the surface, New York was simply being New York. Movie theaters emptied into streets glowing with neon, only settled into another ordinary summer night. Life moved. In 1976, a killer haunted these New York streets. He moved like a ghost through the night, leaving a trail of terrifying mysteries. Then the silence was broken. A single shot echoed. Neighbors searched the darkness. Quiet streets stirred. No one knew this was only the beginning. For now, there were questions. Within minutes, detectives arrived. Every photograph and every piece of evidence was documented. The person responsible had already died. This became a challenging manhunt. In the summer of 1976, a killer haunted New York. As police searched for answers, the press named him of Sam. Every lead was examined. Every witness was reviewed. In the summer of 1976, a killer haunted New York. As police searched for answers, the press named him of Sam. Every lead was examined. Every witness was reviewed. In the summer of 1976, New York was a powder keg. The heat was unforgiving, and the city was on edge. As night fell, millions sought an escape from the oppressive heat. But the summer of 1976 arrived with relentless heat. Day after day, New York, from city parks and neighborhood cafes and open apartment windows. It was the historic summer of 1976, a city pulsing with relentless energy. But beneath the glow, a story had already begun. By midsummer, New York was gripped by relentless heat. Streets shimmered, apartments trapped. You realized that these warm nights would soon become the backdrop to when the sun slipped behind the skyline, New York revealed a different side. Summer evenings were filled with music and bright city lights. No one could know that in the summer of 1976, New York was a powder keg. Then, without warning, the lights went out, and a city was plunged into total darkness. There was no clear motive. One individual remained beyond reach, and the mystery grew deeper. It was simply another summer night. No one knew that an ordinary evening was about to become part of criminal history. The story was about to begin. That summer, a wave of fear gripped the entire city. On this evening, neighborhoods across Queens settled into another warm summer night. For the people who lived here, the routine about the evening, that it would soon become part of history. As daylight faded, Queens settled into its routine. Friends met after work and families returned home. There was nothing to distinguish this evening. It appeared to be an ordinary night. In the days that followed, investigators would return to this neighborhood. They would photograph the streets. It gave little indication of the significance it would soon hold. In a matter of moments, an ordinary became an active police investigation. At that stage, what only were unclear. As emergency personnel secured the area, investigators began the careful process of documenting every available detail, establishing a timeline. Within the first hours, detectives began assembling the facts. Every observation was recorded. They were staged for a known suspect. The investigation had only just begun. What began as a single investigation soon demanded far greater attention. Each new report added another piece. Before sunrise, the investigation was already racing against time. Every clue led to another question. Before investigators could search for answers, they had to preserve every detail, even become significant. Conclusions. Once evidence reached specialists, the investigation entered a new phase. Ballistics analysis became one of the most important tools available. Investigators began interviewing residents. They hoped that someone had noticed a detail. Witness accounts are often essential. In this case, many reports were inconsistent. Detectives organized accounts. The board expanded, but one piece remained absent. They still had no confirmed suspect. Forensic specialists began identifying connections. Ballistics provided objective information.
This is it, cover.
Detectives were searching for the breakthrough, searching for answers. As the hours passed, the investigation showed no signs of slowing. Detectives worked through the night, reviewing evidence, verifying witness accounts, and re-examining every available lead. The evidence slowly came together. Detectives compared separate reports. Patterns began to emerge. Were these events connected? There were no answers yet. The search was expanding.
Police pursue new leads in the Son of Sam case.
By sunrise, the investigation had moved beyond police reports and into the public eye. For millions of residents, quickly the entire city was following. In the summer of 1976, a cloud of fear settled over New York. A killer was hunting, and the city was on edge. In the summer of 1976, A cloud of fear settled over New York. A killer was hunting, and the city was on edge. Many New Yorkers adjusted their daily routines. Friends traveled together after work, families checked on one another. More people chose familiar, well-lit routes. Caution had become part of everyday life. As public awareness increased, so did the volume of information. The challenge was determining which information withstands scrutiny. With each passing day, the investigation reviewed accuracy mattered more than speed. Outside headquarters, updates, while New Yorkers followed every announce. As news of the investigation spread, New Yorkers began changing the way they lived. Every tip required careful evaluation, yet many produced more questions than answers. Every clue whispered the same story. The method never changed. This was no longer random. The killer was learning and adapting, and always staying one step ahead. The city had barely begun to recover from the first attack. No one spoke the question aloud, but everyone was thinking the same thing. मुख्तलिफ इलाके मुख्ताता था, हर नया अटैक ये बता था, ये अब रैंडम क्राइम्स नहीं सिर्फ पैटर्न उभर रहा था. Before sunrise, another neighborhood awoke to flashing lights. The atmosphere felt disturbingly, each tiny piece of evidence retailed with precision. Was this connected to the first attack? Another location, another investigation, 3 separate incidents, one growing pattern. They were chasing someone who always seemed to move first. Inside the lab, every detail matters. Every microscopic mark is examined. Science confirmed it, but the killer remained a mystery. Headlines spread faster than answers. While investigators searched for the next clue, someone else was once to realize, and the hunt was only beginning. For him, it had become something far more personal. Sleep had become a luxury he could not afford. New York, 3 in the morning. The city expects certainty. He only has determination. The battle is inside his mind. This one demanded every waking moment. The mystery refused to become simpler. The case was no longer sitting on his desk. It had taken over his mind. Every clue had a place, yet something refused to make sense. What if the most important the very beginning? The city was finally beginning to wake. Every empty sidewalk. The missing answer still existed. Others are solved. It was an ordinary letter, but the longer they studied it, the more unusual it became. Silence reveals more than words. Before sunrise, the investigation was already racing against time, but every clue led to another question, leaving them chasing a mystery without a face. Every investigation reaches a moment. Tale becomes the most important. It was evidence, held the possibility of revealing its author. Every hour, new phone calls arrived. The challenge was finding information. It was discovering which clue truly mattered. Every lead took them deeper, mapping a city of unanswered questions, until the map became larger than anyone imagined. As the investigation expanded, timelines became larger, created another question. The challenge was no longer collecting information. Every investigation begins with evidence. As the morning papers reached the streets, the mystery gained an identity. Every sentence carried more than words. It carried choices, every phrase. The evidence was no longer a collection of clues. It was becoming the outline of a single mind. And for the first time, the hunt had a direction. Something had changed. The streets grew quieter, evenings ended earlier, everyday routines became the investment-only changing police strategy. It was changing the city itself. New York was famous for its nights, its crowded streets, its endless energy. But slowly, the city began closing its doors. Not every change was visible. Some happened quietly, in conversations. Even ordinary decisions begin to tell an ordinary story. It had entered cafes. While the city searched for answers, investigators searched for the truth hidden behind the headlines. The investigation no longer belonged only to detectives. It had entered homes. New York awakened once again, but the answer was still waiting to be found. It was another ordinary night. Then came the call. Each report expanded the investigation. The mysteries was waiting to bring everything into focus. Every new location told its own story, not through words, but through the details left behind. Every photograph, every carefully recorded observation brought. At first, the evidence seemed unrelated, scattered reports across the city. But careful investigation began revealing deeper connections. The design,
The search became focused. Every detail carried new meaning, narrowing the possibilities. The investigation was following a pattern, and patterns lead to the truth.
Breakthroughs hide in the details. One forgotten record, revisited with fresh eyes. No one knew why it mattered. Now, it cannot be ignored. And speaking to one another. The investigation wasn't finding new evidence, it was finally understanding the evidence it already had. A single forgotten moment. The witnesses hadn't changed their pictures. The investigators had finally learned how to ask the right questions. After weeks of dead ends, the noise finally falls away. Disproven theories are discarded, leaving only the undeniable facts. Now, the real investigation begins. After hours of relentless work, the board finally reflects disciplined judgment. This isn't the end of the search. It is simply the first moment they know where to look. As investigators examined thousands of leads, one ordinary resident gradually entered their field of view. At first glance, nothing about him seemed unusual.
This makes 3 leads pointing to the same street. Let's mark it.
Neighbors remembered him as a quiet resident who kept mostly to himself. Nothing in his daily routine appeared extraordinary, and few imagined that investigators eventually began looking much closer.
Months of patient investigation had transformed scattered clues into a clear direction. The evidence was becoming. The next stage of the investigation would prove to be its most significant. Weeks of investigation had narrowed thousands of possibilities to a single lead. Rather than acting on suspicion alone, detectives began a carefully coordinated surveillance operation. Major investigations are rarely solved by a single breakthrough. They advance through patience, careful documentation, and the relentless process of verifying one fact against another. Weeks of continuous surveillance had brought investigators to a pivotal moment. Detectives quietly prepared for the next phase of the investigation. Weeks of surveillance had transformed uncertainty into direction. The next stage would depend not on instinct, but on whether the evidence could withstand the highest standard. Weeks of surveillance and careful planning had led investigators to this moment. Every assignment had been coordinated in advance, every role clearly defined. The priority remained. Shortly after midnight, months of patient investigative work reached a decisive milestone. The arrest was carried out calmly and professionally, marking the conclusion.
People believe darkness begins with a choice. Sometimes, it begins with the experiences that shape us.
Some memories never fade. They quietly shape who we become. Now I understand. This story began long before today. So this wasn't just a case. It was a...
After a while, the pain stopped feeling unusual. Fear became something I expected every day.
Every story leaves a mark. And with the investigation complete, the search for answers entered a new chapter. The evidence would now be presented before the court, where every fact would be examined through the judicial process. Months of investigative work had now entered the courtroom. Every verified report was ready. Depended not on speculation, but on evidence presented under the law. With the court's decision delivered, the judicial process reached its conclusion. The story did not end inside the courtroom. The courtroom proceedings extended far beyond the courthouse walls. Across New York, millions followed each development through newspapers and television broadcasts. For many families, as time passed, New York found its rhythm. The investigation became a testament to resilience and the determination of a community that chose to move forward together. Historic investigations continue to influence the evolution of modern policing. Their documented lesson investigative coordination, and above all, they reinforced a timeless principle: success. Understanding criminal behavior is not about giving attention to those who commit harmful acts. It is about strengthening prevention, advancing helping communities the importance of evidence. The appearances alone never reveal a person's true character. Behind everyday life, facts are often obscured by assumptions. True justice, its legacy was the dedication of investigators, the resilience of a city, the integrity of justice, and the enduring pursuit of truth. True crime should never be remembered for those who caused harm, but for those who lost everything. It was the summer of 1977. In Yonkers, life followed its ordinary rhythm. Nothing suggested these streets would soon become linked to one of the residents remembered seeing him in passing, just another familiar face in the building. He greeted people politely, collected his mail, carried groceries home, and disappeared behind the same door each evening. When news broke of the arrest, many struggled to reconcile it with the person they thought they knew. They described him as quiet, but appearances can easily conceal a far more complicated reality. But sometimes, the appearance remained hidden. When the investigation finally came to an end, its greatest legacy was not simply the arrest of one individual, lessons that would influence how criminal approached for years to come. One of the investigation's most enduring contributions was the renewed emphasis on forensic science, ballistic comparison, careful evidence preservations, investigations. Another lasting lesson was the value of communication. Sharing information quickly between investigators, departments, and jurisdictions reduced misconnections and strengthened future investigations. By studying the past, investigators strengthen their ability. This is how we protect tomorrow. Yesterday's experience helps solve tomorrow's mysteries. Every investigation eventually reaches its conclusion, continues to guide those who seek the truth. What can today's investigators learn from yesterday's experience? Every life is a story. Beyond the headlines, we remember. The dreams they chased, the love they shared. Their light still shines today. As this story reaches its conclusion, our thoughts return not to the person responsible for the violence, but to those whose lives were forever changed by it. The victim. Today, New York stands as a city that remembers its past. Our streets are once again filled with everyday moments. This is a community alive with hope. We move forward with resilience. The lasting legacy of this investigation belongs to the people. They chose perseverance over despair. It belongs to the investigators who remain passion and unity outlast difficult chapters.